interesting thing. It's probably way better than what you would get from class from me today. So we have a special guest with us. This is Mr. Chris Benyo. He is a graduate of Gibault from the class of '83. So it's always good to have alumni here to enlighten you with different things of their lives. So I give you Chris Benyo.
If we could just start, we just say a little prayer, more for me than for you. But if we could just for a moment, dear God, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this time together with these wonderful students and adults. Please open their hearts and minds to what is being said and leave with a new understanding. In Jesus' name,
Amen.
P.S. Please don't let the presenter be terrible and have an epic face. All right. Before I start, I understand there's some anatomy students here. Could you guys raise your hand where you guys are at? I just wanted to, my presentation doesn't really talk much about the disease. It talks more about living with it. So I'm going to just take a minute or two to explain the disease as quick as I can, as much as my solid 16 ACT will allow. First of all, ALS is a neuromuscular disease. We all have all these motor neurons in our body running through our bodies, enabling us to do anything that has to do with moving. From walking, moving your hands, arms, breathing, swallowing, all that. What happens in ALS, these motor neurons get blocked. And because of the blocking, the muscles just wither away and die. And the disease becomes fatal when it gets to the lungs that allow you to breathe. Just a quick example, my wife Denise, who is my hero by the way, when we started this, every 3 months we go to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago for 3 months ALS checkup. That's great. And when we started this, her breathing capacity was at 100%, which is a good thing. And the people that were testing her were like, wow, I couldn't even do this much, and you have a disease. Now, about 5 years later, her breathing capacity is down to 22%. So it's progressing. It's ugly. There's not a whole lot to do about it. If you guys, any movement that you do, it's those motor neurons. Denise always has a joke with me. She says, when I ask her, what do you want for Mother's Day? What do you want for Christmas? I like motor neurons that work. So she's keeping her sense of humor. I don't know how, but she's amazing. Just an example, another example is like, you guys can all raise your hand. I could hold Denise's hand up, but it would fall. She can't hold her head up, so, or hold her arm up. So that's kind of where we're at. So anyway, that being said, I'm Chris Benyo. I haven't been back to Gibault in a very long time. Actually, the last time I was actually in this room was probably in the winter playing eraser hockey with my dad, who was the PE teacher. So it's a little bit different than when I was here. So that's kind of cool. Also, I am ecstatic that this isn't just like the best ever April Fool's joke, like you have someone come and talk to a group of people and no one shows up. So thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. And happy April Fool's to you. And before I start my end of my whole thing here, I have a disclaimer and a challenge for you. And I probably should put on my glasses. The disclaimer is, I'm not a professional presenter. I didn't memorize my presentation here. You'll be able to see that shortly. So like I tell my elementary kids, be nice to the presenter. The challenge is, ALS is a very difficult road to travel. Try to find the positives in this presentation. They're there, but sometimes get lost with all the bad things that go along with it. It's a very emotional disease. 3 parts today, if possible, and I will try to go as fast as I can. Actually, my wife, she can't speak anymore, she uses a Dynavox device to speak, and actually, she wanted me to share something with you guys before. So it's kind of like what's it like for her living with ALS, and then my part, me talking about it. And then I have a DVD of, we were featured on Comcast Sports Net in Chicago last April, right before the Boston Marathon, we did together. And so that's kind of how the day will go. Hopefully we'll have time for questions. I also wrote some stuff on the board over here. Les Turner Foundation, ALS Foundation, foundation that we always run for. It's called, what we do is www.runforals.org, just informative. The bottom one there, Denise's blog, www.adventuresinlosingstability.blogspot.com. She is a phenomenal writer, and if you got a chance, you'll love to if you want to go there. We're doing the New Jersey Marathon, April 26th, which is coming up. And then there's 2 movies. I know there's been a lot of excitement about the Ice Bucket Challenge last fall. How many did the Ice Bucket Challenge last year? Anybody? Awesome. Thank you. And there are also 2 movies that came out. The Theory of Everything, which got a lot of publicity because I think it won an Academy Award, maybe for Best Picture possibly. And then my favorite is You're Not You. It stars Hilary Swank as an ALS patient, and she nails her part. It was like, seriously, my wife and I watching our life on the big screen. It was amazing. So you can check that out. All right. Before I go any further, I need you to know right now, Denise is my hero. How she deals with disease with such grace, strength, and faith is heroic in my mind. I'm just along for the ride. I know she wishes she could be here, if nothing else, to make sure I don't screw up. But the good news here, as I said before, I have an article that she wrote that she put on Ladies Home Journal, and I think you'll see from this writing that she's just a fantastic writer. So, without further ado, the article that she wrote is called Impact. They say that victims of earthquakes experience them in slow motion. As the walls come crashing down around them in minutes, time seems to stand still. Sitting with my husband in the doctor's office, after months of searching for answers, I had a similar experience when the neurologist delivered my diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease. The words hung in the air as if I had the option to dismiss them or accept them. I remained calm, almost frozen, as I noticed the tears begin to stream down my husband's face. Yay me. 2 to 5 years, the doctor said. That's the prognosis for this disease. There's no cure, no effective treatment for what you have. I'm sorry. I had heard of Lou Gehrig's disease, but frankly, I knew nothing about it. I was always concerned about multiple sclerosis, as it runs in my family. So when my symptoms began to progress, I was almost certain MS would be the conclusive diagnosis. I was prepared for that. Not for ALS, not for something worse, not for something fatal. In the days to follow, I remember thinking, why isn't there a cure? Or at the very least, an effective treatment? Unfortunately, like an earthquake, when we hear about ALS, it only lasts a news cycle and then we lose focus. But the devastation remains. And then come the aftershocks, as you tell your family and close friends, your boss, co-workers, and eventually the person who cleans your home, cuts your hair, and paints your nails, because you can no longer hide the fact that you're sick. Each time it becomes more real, more terrifying, and more overwhelming, until you decide to accept it and you live your life despite it. Today, I am living with, not dying with ALS. I don't say this flippantly, like someone in denial, and I didn't get here easily, but I did get to a place of hope and optimism because of the people that surround me. In my 20s, I read a book about family systems. The author used a mobile to illustrate how an event in the life of just one member of the family will impact every other member of that family system. Try it. Watch a mobile moving effortlessly in synchronized harmony. Now touch just one of those dangling pieces, and the next thing you see is utter chaos, each piece flying through the air in a different direction. You see, the expectation is that there is always a negative impact. That has not been my experience. That is not my story. As I sit here in my power wheelchair, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sunlight on my face, I'm reminded that spring is coming. Each year when I think that, I just can't take another day of winter's biting cold. Spring pops and a daffodil breaks the earth's crust and pushes through. This is one of my favorite things. It's the way I've come to think about living with my disease. Just when I think I can't endure another day, something happens to remind me that there are good days still ahead. Days when I get to share lunch with friends, see musicals at the theater, receive a note of encouragement from a dear friend I haven't seen in 20 years, and recently I got to see my beautiful 12-year-old daughter sing "You Make My Dreams Come True" on stage, while she literally was making my dreams come true for her. Her joy was my joy. Since early 2010, I had experienced what it's like to move from an active working mom who exercised daily, enjoyed rollerblading, cycling, cross-country skiing, and running with her husband and children, to a mom that has learned to use assistive technology in order to help her daughter do her 6th grade math homework because I could no longer speak. That said, if not for my illness, I would not have been home after school with her to spend those precious moments. All those positive spin there. It's amazing to me. What I've learned in the past few years as my body gradually deteriorated is that being sick is not for those weak in spirit. It takes determination, strong faith, and the ability to see the blessings that come along with the pain. To get through it in one day, 1 hour, and sometimes 1 minute at a time. Most importantly, I've seen how my illness has impacted those around me. Over the last 3 years, I have seen coworkers, friends, and neighbors become my hands and feet when mine would no longer serve me. They provided childcare, transportation, and meals when we needed them. They packed up our things and unpacked them again to move us into a new home when I could no longer climb the stairs of our family home. They participated in walkathons and ran alongside us as my husband pushed me in a specifically designed jogger to honor a commitment he made to run with me my first marathon. A special group of neighbors even went door to door to tell our story and raise awareness and funding for research and patient care. Just when we thought we had seen blessing after blessing, 2 former students of my husband's, now in high school, organized an annual dodgeball tournament, recruiting support from local businesses, parents, fellow students, and teachers to help these young ladies engage the entire community in our efforts to fight this disease. They've organized the dodgeball tournament for 4 years now, and each time I roll into the high school field house, I am overwhelmed by the number of people who participate and attend. There were teams of teachers, parents, high school students, and junior high students, each team dressed to show their unique spirit, each more amusing than the next. Bubble wrap teachers, moms in tiaras, and students in their brightly colored t-shirts and wild socks. They made me smile and laugh. Many of them greeted me or stopped by to ask how I was doing and reminded me that they keep us in their prayers. One adorable group of tiny elementary school girls who attended the school my husband works in walked by the bleachers back and forth selling wristbands, stopped by to ask about my new puppy, Sally. Apparently word got out about my furry Valentine's Day gift. I did not have my Dynabox, my communication device yet, so it was difficult to respond, but I smiled and nodded my head to acknowledge them and mouthed the words, "Thank you." I also had the pleasure of meeting the lovely young ladies who inspired us with their vision for the event, along with their parents, grandparents, and siblings. One family who participated had recently lost their high school-age son, Michael, to brain cancer. Yet Mom was at the front table, welcoming people as they entered the event, collecting admission, and Dad led a team, the heavy hitters. Both greeted me individually, and although there was little spoken dialogue, I sensed a connection of deep understanding in their eyes, a moment of mutual compassion that won't be erased from my heart. My husband had been one of Michael's teachers, and even in their time of grief, they were present to support us, nothing short of amazing. This was impact we never saw coming. This was community at its best. And I am humbled and filled with gratitude because no matter how bad it gets, we are not alone. That's Denise's amazing response to living with ALS. I told her she was a good writer. She's pretty tough. Now it's my turn. I'm sorry, but I gotta listen again. All right, here we go. I want to ask you all to do something a bit awkward. I know that's hard, but I promise it's worth it. I promise it won't last too long. It's a visualization exercise I like to use when presenting. Many of you may have used this before, one way or another. But if you haven't, please play along. Okay? I'd like you all to close your eyes and focus only on the sound of your breathing. Now think of the one person in your life whom you love more than anything. Maybe your mom, dad, brother, sister, anyone else. Get a picture of them in your head. Now imagine you just watched your special person go through a battery of neurological tests to find out why these strange things keep happening to him or her. Pain all the time. Aches she never felt before. And the scariest of all, randomly falling down for no reason. Some of these tests were strange and downright painful, as you could see in the eyes of your loved one. Finally, they are done, and you breathe a sigh of relief. Hopefully, today, you will get the answers you have been looking for the past 2 years. Now you wait, and you wait some more. After what seemed like an eternity, the doctor leads you into a small conference room. Your hands are sweaty and shaky as you hold your loved one's hand for support. No fear, you say under your breath. A long pause, and the doctor speaks these words that hit you like a ton of bricks. You have ALS. There is no cure and no known treatment plan. It is a fatal disease. Life expectancy is 2 to 5 years after diagnosis. I'm sorry. Your world is shook beyond belief. This wasn't part of the plan. You now have a choice. Make the best of a terrible situation or wallow in self-pity. Choose to die with ALS or live with ALS and be all in. This is where our story begins. Open your eyes. Thanks. I like to do that because it kind of gets you an idea of where I'm coming from here. That actually happened to Denise and I. The both of us will never forget the night of December 9th, 2010, less than 6 months after we married. I have to be honest with you. I was a wreck, and I was so angry at everything. I was a wallower. Denise, on the other hand, is the opposite. She has a very strong faith, and because of it, we adopted the mantra, living with ALS, and all in. These two little sayings give us strength every day to try to do something good, to make a difference. This is our Christian lifestyle. When I met Denise, she was in the best shape of her life. She exercised each morning and just began running. I was 20 states into the 50-state marathon club and was kind of a running geek, and I loved it. I knew I found my niche. Denise and I began running together and even did several 5Ks together. I promised her on our wedding day to run a marathon anywhere, provided she put in the training. I told her 5Ks are cute, but nothing compares to the rush you get when you finish your first marathon. So that was the plan. As we trained, some of the problems she was having were magnified, and we had to stop. Then we got the diagnosis and things changed. Interestingly enough, in some ways, for the better. Running is great, but running for a cause is hands down better than anything I could have ever imagined. I I had to keep my promise on our wedding day, June 18th, 2010. I had all kinds of crazy ideas. My favorite nut job idea was to push Denise from Bartlett, Illinois, which is by Chicago, where we used to live, to the Jersey Shore, where Denise grew up, and arrive there on August 19, 2010, which would have been Denise's 50th birthday. I never said I was a sharpest tool in the tool shed. Because of Denise's declining health, we would have needed ambulance support and a plan, of which I had neither. Around that time, I had contacted the Les Turner ALS Foundation for some ideas, and they hooked me up with Kim McGyver, who heads up the endurance sports part of Les Turner. They even purchased our jogger we use in races. Kim reached out to the New Jersey Marathon, and we settled on that as our first marathon together. We have done 3 New Jersey marathons together with some very close friends. One girl, of which I was her 3rd grade teacher when I started teaching many years ago. Yes, I am that old. So that's kind of how we got our start of running together. Each marathon I finish with Denise is better than the last. We don't know how many more we have left, but if she is up for it, we will continue. To date, we have finished 5 marathons together. We did New Jersey Marathon 2012, 2013, 2014. We did the Naperville Marathon this past November, and we did Boston a year ago in April. Although we love the New Jersey Marathon for obvious reasons, it's Denise's homecoming, family and friends all along the course, but my favorite, Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run blaring at the start. Nothing compared to last year's Boston Marathon. It was a year after the bombings, and we just needed to be there. I really wanted Denise to experience Boston. I had done Boston 4 times myself, and it is the pinnacle of long-distance running. Although the jogger we used in Boston was like a Prius compared to the Rolls-Royce joggers we were surrounded by in the starting corral, it was phenomenal. After Boston, Les Turner purchased us our own Rolls-Royce jogger, which we used in Naperville this past November. One lady actually came up to us in the starting corral and said, "Your jogger is going to kill you on the hills. God bless." Not in a smart alecky kind of way, but in a you're nuts kind of way. And she was right. But the runners were so great to us. We were patted on the back, verbally acknowledged, clapped for, given a thumbs up. I hope it was a thumb. I'm just going to go with a thumbs up. And even one guy got up close to us and said to Denise, "You are so beautiful." I kind of figured he wasn't talking to me. Hello, I'm right here, I thought. Denise just smiled, that infectious smile of hers, which you would probably be seeing right now if she was here. We estimated that 200 to 300 runners acknowledged us as they went by, maybe even more. Some even tried to help me push up the Newton Hills, because I was struggling, but I wouldn't let them. It was something I had to do alone. I'm always all in. All the runners understood. The coolest moment, Meb Keflezighi, who's the American distance stud, who won Boston Marathon, last year's winner, even acknowledged us with a thumb, and I'm sure it was a thumb, with a thumb up as he flew by us. How cool is that? We'll be doing our 4th New Jersey Marathon on April 26th. I think this one will be the best because we will be actually racing this one. Awareness is great, but there comes a time when you need to push yourself. Denise and I have never broken 4 hours for a marathon together. Right before Boston last year, she said she would like to go under 4 hours in a marathon just once. Easy for her to say. So this will be the one. The course is faster. They finally are all recovered from Hurricane Sandy. We will get to run on the boardwalk for a long stretch, and that means speed. We can't wait. Our Rolls Royce will be cruising, and Denise will be smiling the whole way. Sub 4 hours, here we come. Denise and I have been called inspirations by many people. We don't really feel like we're a big deal. Many people are dealing with just horrific things in their lives. I think if inspiration means being all in with your situation and making the best out of it, I guess we are. I honestly can't imagine doing this any other way. There is a reason for everything that happens, good or bad. Although we may not understand it now, it will be revealed to us later. There is no way we could navigate this by ourselves. Something bigger than all of us is at work here. We have had unbelievable assistance from family, some of which are here. My daughter Leah here is in the back, and my brother Joe and his wife Sandy. Friends, co-workers, and even the community I teach in Naperville. For 4 years, 2 past students of mine organized an event called Dodging for Lou Gehrig Dodgeball Tournament to raise money and awareness for ALS when they heard about it on Facebook. To date, they have raised over $50,000 for the Les Turner ALS Foundation in support of us. This past year alone, they raised over $20,000. They wanted to make a difference, and they have. They are the epitome of all in. Don't let anyone tell you that you are too young to make a difference. You all have the ability and the skill set to make a difference in whatever is your passion. These girls were in 7th grade when they started the dodgeball tournament. My wife and I are indebted to all the people that came out of the woodwork to support us. I thank all of you for coming to hear me talk. Thank you for being my blessing today. All of you here today are our inspirations, and we will carry your spirit to the finish line in New Jersey and beyond. Finally, as I wrap up, and you're like, about time. Finally, I just have a bit of advice for all of you. View each day as dripping with possibility. See each day as a gift from God. You have no idea how many days you have left, so live life to the fullest and be all in with all that you do. School, family, friends, and of course your sport or other activities you're passionate about. That is what a Christian lifestyle is. Thank you for your time and being a great audience. I'm humbled to be here with you. And in the words of the great Lou Gehrig, today I am the luckiest man on the face of this earth. Thank you. There's a little video that's I think like 7 or 8 minutes. I'd like for you to see it. It was here featured in Comcast Sportsnet last April, right before the Boston Marathon. One thing, just ignore the extremely big ears of the guy they're talking to.